The government of Papua New Guinea wants to improve literacy levels in the country. Currently, literacy levels in PNG are put at 63.4%, and the government wants to get this figure up to 70%. Scott Waire, our PNG correspondent, told Don Wiseman that achieving this modest target isn't going to be easy.
That percentage increase that they're talking about represents a lot of determining factors, and they determine whether education and schools and materials actually get delivered to a village or a community or a province. Over the last 12 years, the National Economic Fiscal Commission has been talking about the amount of money it takes to deliver services to provinces outside of the National Capital District. Now, they've come up with interesting stats that they're talking about. Instead of a budget breakup, the factors that should go into that budget breakup and the allocations of the money should include the amount of money it costs to actually deliver the services. So, for example, a school in, say, for example, the National Capital District will cost less compared to a school in Manus, where a large portion of the education budget is taken up by transportation costs and fuel and other costs related to that service delivery. So it's a relatively modest increase, 63.4% to 70%, but it represents all those factors put together.
Yes, well, the previous government introduced fee-free education. Has that had any impact?
It has had impacts on various fronts, and one of the most notable has been the increase in the number of students attending school. So elementary class sizes have increased significantly. Like, instead of previously when we had 30 to 35 students, classes have grown to 50 students. And parents have actually demanded that their children be put in class because the government has said that education is free and the government will pay for the school fees. In Medang, for example, where I lived previously, the Tuspab Secondary School, that's just one example. Tuspab Secondary, which is in the heart of Medang, had class sizes averaging between 50 and 60 students. Many of them didn't have desks. That's one of the impacts of tuition fee-free education. It's a noble concept, giving education to more and more kids, but is that it puts an enormous amount of burden on the teachers who struggle with minimal resources.
Yes, they didn't increase the number of teachers or the number of classrooms. They just said, well, here's this rule change and a lot more people can go to school now. They needed to do a whole lot more work.
Yes, it's a political rhetoric and political priorities versus reality on the ground. And that's always been the case, going back when the former Prime Minister Pius Wingti announced free education, which actually got him elected, his government elected. And that's been repeated at every election. And the same thing keeps playing out. We were tracking the number of schools that had actually received money from the tuition fee-free education policy. And a lot of them didn't actually receive the money. And that's also the other side of the problem. You've got budget allocations, but the actual budget reaching the schools doesn't actually happen.
Now, Papua New Guinea's a country of 800 plus languages. So when we talk about literacy, what language are people becoming proficient in?
So this is English language proficiency. So they're talking about literacy in school. Going to a school and learning to speak in English. The Constitution of Papua New Guinea also allows for literacy, and it states very clearly the definition of literacy in the Papua New Guinean Constitution is to be literate in English, Tokpisin, Motu, and your own vernacular. So it defines literacy in that manner. But for this one, the government's talking about literacy in English.